What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Hereditary. So I never saw Hereditary in theaters. I remember seeing the trailers and thinking it was super creepy. I really wanted to see that movie, and I just missed out on it in the theaters. This movie comes to us from A24, who I also recently did a review of one of their movies, It Comes at Night, and was not a huge fan of it. I also saw the movie The Witch a few years back in theaters, which is another A24 film, and that one I kind of have mixed reviews on, but I'll have to do a review for that one to kind of really get into it. I won't be getting into any spoilers as usual, but what I can say about Hereditary right out of the gate is that it's incredibly well directed in terms of just the way the shots are put together, the way that the performances are all put together. I think as far from a directing standpoint, the movie is incredibly well put together. On top of that, the performances across the whole film are fantastic. There's not a single performance that stands out as a weak or bad performance. There's some that are weaker than others, but everybody's performance in this movie is really well done. And I have to give props to Toni Collette for her performance in this film. I mean, she just gives an absolutely incredible and believable performance across this entire film. I never once did not believe that she was the character that she was. She really did give an incredible performance, and if you are somebody who loves seeing a great acting performance, I'll go ahead and stop this review right here and say you need to watch this movie just because of Toni Collette. 110%.
Fucking say it! Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
Now, aside of the directing and the acting, I definitely got to give big props to the cinematography as well. There was just so much about the artistic elements that made this film beautiful to look at, very well put together, and the performances really just drive the narrative forward. Now, with that said, I really got to say I have no idea how I feel about this movie. I'm going to have to give it another watch and see how I go over time. So this is just after one viewing. I just recently got it on Blu-ray, and what I can say is I did enjoy the movie. I think it is a very good movie. But the narrative can be a little bit confusing and a little bit convoluted sometimes, in my opinion. There are times where they kind of are implying at certain things, and I feel like it's one of those horror films that as I rewatch it multiple times, certain things will stand out more than they did the first time, which makes sense. You know, a lot of movies do that. But in this viewing alone, I would have to say there was definitely moments where I just found myself like, what is going on? Or like things would happen, and I was just very surprised and shocked at some of the twists and turns that this movie has. And it isn't until like maybe the last 15 minutes that you really start grasping and understanding of where this is about to go, and then it ends and you're kind of like, oh, okay, all right, that's the end. Okay, cool. And that's not to say that it's a terrible ending in any way, but it just kind of leaves you like, oh, that's not what I expected, but okay, I get what they were going for. It gets really crazy and intense within the last 10 to 15 minutes, but it works. At the same time, it works. It's just one of those movies that, for me personally, kind of left me like, whoa, a little jarred at the end, a little, a little confused on certain elements. But as I spoke about it with my girlfriend and we talked it out a little bit more, things start to make a little bit more sense. But I can definitely go right out of the gate and say that this is a very well put together film. If you're a fan of horror films, I highly recommend it, just for the sake of everything that was artistically put into this film. This movie just has a very creepy and eerie feel to the entire thing. There are so many things that happen and you just think, oh my God, what is going on? There's a psychological element happening to the characters, and there's also a psychological element that's definitely happening to us as an audience. So you do have to very much pay attention to little key things that are seen on screen, or that are said, or texts that are read. You know, there's tons of moments where in this film where you actually have to read the text on screen when they're reading a book or they're getting a text message. And if you miss any of those little moments, you will definitely miss out on certain story beats that are happening. There are certain things that are kind of breezed over, but not for the intention that they're being rushed, but kind of for that they definitely want you to have an attention to detail in this film when you're watching it. So I think as far as the movie goes, it's very well put together. It's hard to deny that. I really did enjoy the artistic elements of this film. The narrative, like I said, just got a little convoluted for me sometimes and a little confusing, and I think they could have streamlined it a little bit better. But I think the performances and the overall payoff of this film and the eerie, just creepy, haunting feeling that this movie does give off definitely pays off. I do think there are some boring elements. You know, there are definitely some parts of the film where it was a little slow and a little bit slow to pick up. You know, the first maybe like 20-30 minutes I thought were really good, and then after that, like the next 20 to 30 minutes got a little slow, and then it would pick up for like a 10-15 minutes, and then the next like 15 to 20 minutes were a little slow, and so that's kind of how this movie was going for me. That was kind of the pacing, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it because so much about how it was put together was really, really well done. So yeah, guys, I don't have too much more to say about this movie. I would definitely recommend it to fans of horror or fans of film that have not seen it. And also, if you're just a fan of acting and just seeing incredible portrayals on screen, I mean, I cannot stress enough how beautiful Toni Collette's performance was in this film. I mean, she really gave it her all. You believe that she is this character, you know, going through all of these situations in this film. Easily one of the best horror performances I've seen in years. So I highly recommend it just on those merits alone. I think that the story is going to be subjective. You know what I mean? There are a lot of movies that I may be able to say like, hey, like this movie is just really solid from beginning to end, narratively, all this kind of stuff, and a lot of people will be able to connect with it, and I may be able to be like, I think on a general consensus, you will watch it and enjoy it. Whereas with this one, I think that there's gonna be people who love it, and there's gonna be people who really, the movie's gonna end and they're gonna go like, what the hell did I just watch? So, you know, I'm very curious to see what you guys thought about it. I'm very curious to see, you know, more reviews on this after I post this. I'm probably gonna go and watch some other people's reviews. And yeah, guys, that's gonna end my review. I don't have too much more to say about it. I highly recommend this for fans of film and horror and all the other things that I said before. But I'm very curious, what did you think of Hereditary? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Did you feel the narrative was as convoluted as I said? Was it, you know, a lot more easy to follow for you? I'm very curious. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Definitely join the conversation as usual, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!